I'm Andy Parkin, Managing Director of the multi-award-winning Screed. I'm here to talk about laying self-leveling screed. I would say that I don't believe there is a self-leveling screed per se. Yes, a self-smoothing, but not self-leveling. Please don't lay the screed and expect it to level itself. However, the term self-leveling is used extensively in the industry, and so I will use it here. For the purpose of this video, I will also assume that laying self-leveling screed is a levelling compound normally laid between 1 and 10 mil. When laying vinyl, ceramics, carpet and other floor coverings, laying self-leveling screed levels out uneven substrates, leaving a smooth, flat surface to bond to. Before laying self-leveling screed, its suitability needs to be determined. Most projects will have one of 3 different types of substrates. Bonded is very relevant to laying self-leveling screed, as it relies on the bond with the substrate. Laying self-leveling screed would be suitable for this type of construction. Unbonded is where you have a membrane in between the substrate and the screed. This type of construction is not something that would be suitable for laying self-leveling screed. Floating construction is where you have the screed sat on insulation, be it acoustic or thermal. This type of construction is not something that would be suitable for laying self-leveling screed. When bonding, I think it's important to highlight the process. When looking at the substrate, it needs to be sound. When we say sound, it needs to be solid. If you have a crumbling, cracking, or you've got other issues, then action needs to be taken before laying the screed. There is no point laying self-leveling screed onto something that isn't stable, because it will only result in the screed cracking and/or delaminating. Checks should be made to ensure that the substrate is not contaminated. Contamination may be a variety of things: oils, grease, dust, anything that may have gone into the pores of the screed, into the capillaries of the screed. If there is contamination, it may require some mechanical surface preparation, which may be grinding, scabbling or shot blasting. If there is paint on the surface, then it will need to be removed before laying self-leveling screed. The surface needs to be clean and vacuumed if there is dust on the surface. Before laying self-leveling screed, a primer needs to be applied to the substrate to assist in the bonding of the self-leveling screed and the substrate. Sometimes it can go down without the primer, but always read the instructions before laying. Either way, you are going to need some penetration of the surface. It needs to bond, so it may be that you have to grind off the first couple of mils of the matrix to get down to something that is bondable. If the substrate is power floated concrete, then the top of the matrix will need to be removed to get to the more open textured concrete that will allow the primer to penetrate. There are certain products that may go down directly onto a power floated surface, but again, you would have to look at the requirement for each individual product. In general, you would be looking at mechanically altering the surface to allow for better adhesion between the screed and the substrate. When we talk about screed thickness, it varies from product to product. However, as a general guideline, the minimums are as follows. Minimum depths are usually 2 to 3 mil. However, some products can go down to feather edge, which is around about 1 mil and possibly even less. Maximum depths are around 10 to 15 mil. However, with the addition of bulking aggregates, normally kiln-dried sand, when laying self-leveling screed can go down to a depth of 30 mil. Generally, when laying self-leveling screed, the substrate should be 75% relative humidity or less. If above this, a liquid damp-proof membrane may be required to suppress the available moisture. I would recommend that the surface is always tested for moisture before proceeding. When completely happy with the substrate, you are now ready to apply the primer, which assists with the bonding of the screed and the substrate. Each product will have a tested recommended primer and may have different water ratios. Always check with the manufacturer's guidelines before proceeding. Generally, the primer needs to be dry before laying self-leveling screed. However, it wouldn't normally be left too long. Always check the product for instructions. When applying the primer, use a brush and make sure there is no pooling of the primer. If mixing by hand using an electric drill, the powder is added to the correct amount of water. Again, work from the manufacturer's guidelines for their product, whilst mixing thoroughly until a lump-free mortar is produced. The screed is then poured onto the substrate. Laying self-leveling screed is then carried out using a steel trowel or float to spread the mortar and finish off. Generally, the screed will self-smooth for the first 15 minutes and have a total working time of around 30 minutes, depending on site temperatures. Site conditions will affect drying times. However, 3 ml of screed would normally dry within 24 hours and be walkable within 3 to 4 hours. I hope this helps with your laying self-leveling screed questions. If you would like any further help, please get in